Ah, come on!
Now, Mr. Von Karma, save your surprise for after you've seen the evidence. Very well, Mr. Wright, show us your proof. Do you have evidence that the second firing of the pistol is related to this incident? No, yeah, I was just looking at it to make sure before I said yes or no. Take that!
Look at this photograph! Every time I do it makes me die.
This is a photograph of the scene of the crime 15 years ago. I can see that the victim lying there is Gregory Edgeworth. This proves the murder weapon was fired twice at the time of the incident. This photo proves it. So let me get this straight. This photo proves 2 shots were fired? Where? Your Honor, please get a clue. Show the judge the contradiction.
Why is this guy a judge? Why is he even a judge?
Take that. As should be obvious, the contradiction is here. I see a bullet hole in the door. Your Honor, Gregory Edgeworth was killed by a shot from the pistol, yet there's also a bullet hole in the elevator door. We also know that the murder weapon was fired twice. Thus, someone other than Edgeworth fired that second shot. Order! Order! Mr. Wright, what are you driving at? I just frickin' said it.
Oh my god!
It's simple, Your Honor. At the time of the incident, 2 shots were fired. One went into Gregory Edgeworth's heart. The other hit the elevator door. Remember that the defendant lost consciousness after the shot he fired rang out? In conclusion, we must agree that the second shot was fired by someone else. Right? Mr. Wright! But who could that someone be? The murderer, of course. I knew I should have stepped in before your wild fantasies got out of hand! Mr. Wright, look once more at the DL6 incident case file. Look closely. Try the case summary page. The case summary. That's on page 1. Look what is written there. Not a single clue was found on the scene.
A lie.
If the pistol had indeed been fired 2 times, then the other bullet would have been discovered on the scene. He does have a point. That second bullet has never been found. Why? Because the second bullet does not exist. The bullet that claimed Gregory Edgeworth's life was the one fired by his own son. That is the truth of this matter. The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
It was undoubtedly something else that made that bullet hole in the door. Order! I will have order! Mr. Wright has proven one thing to us quite clearly. That the murder weapon was fired twice at the time of the incident. However, as Mr. Von Karma says, the second bullet fired was not found. It is highly unlikely that the police merely overlooked this second bullet. So, all we have is the single bullet fired. I'm afraid I have to discount the defense's claim. What? That makes zero sense, but great, thanks.
Thanks, bro.
I praise the judge for his wisdom in this matter. How did this happen? I don't believe that the second bullet didn't exist. Was I wrong? I've been wrong about this whole incident?
What are you doing, Nick? Why aren't you raising an objection?
I'm sorry, Maya.
What?
It looks like I was wrong.
Nick?
If the second bullet wasn't there, then all my conjectures are for nothing.
But you said you'd do it, Nick. You said you'd get Edgeworth declared innocent.
I'm sorry. It's just when I saw the photograph, I thought that 2 shots had been fired. I was so certain of it, I thought I'd won. I thought there was another person, someone else, who fired the killing shot. But now, I was wrong to think it could be that simple. This case has stood unsolved for 15 years.
Nick?
Well, it seems that we have finally cleared up this incident. Only 1 bullet was found at the scene of the crime. That shot was fired by Miles Edgeworth. Precisely. I would like to ask one thing of Miles Edgeworth before passing my judgment. Have you been paying attention to the trial so far?
No, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any objections?
No, I do not.
So you killed your father, though that was not your intention?
Yes, I did.
Oh no. He's accepted the guilt.
Very well. The statute of limitations on the murder of Gregory Edgeworth runs out today. Therefore, I must pronounce a verdict on the defendant today. Right here. Right now. Indeed. Does anyone have any objections? I've been here before. It's just like my first day in court. There's so many things I know I should be saying, but my mind's gone blank. I can't find the words. Mr. Wright? Your Honor? I object. Mr. Wright, on what grounds do you object?
Nick?
I don't know. His case is perfect.
Oh no.
It must exist. The second bullet. What? What did you just say?
Nothing. Oh,
Second
that wasn't.
That
was me, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You didn't see her flash for a second?
well, I did see her, but I thought that she was going to just show up. I didn't think that was her talking.
The second bullet must exist. But where?
Someone took it.
It seems waiting is not going to produce us any answers, Mr. Wright. Wait, Your Honor. The second bullet, it existed. What? But we've just heard proof that it did not exist. I realize that, Your Honor. I'm really grasping here. It's just someone took it from the scene of the crime. That's what happened. But who? The murderer. The murderer? Then tell us just who is this murderer? I'm still thinking about that one. So the criminal took the second bullet? But why? Huh? First of all, how would they have found it? It's not easy to find a stray bullet, Mr. Wright. Was there some pressing need for the murderer to search for that bullet? Of course there was a need. That's why they took it. But what possible reason could they have had? Well, the reason the murderer took the bullet away from the scene with them is... maybe they thought that the bullet would be used as proof. Proof? It was a special bullet, so they took it with them. If that was the case, then they should have taken the bullet from inside Gregory as well. Huh? Why would they only take one of the 2 shots fired? Oh, right.
So I probably would have been even more suspicious.
Mr. Wright, have you really thought this through? I'm going to have to penalize you.
No!
What?
I don't understand why that just happened.
I don't know either. This isn't going so well. Was there some pressing need for the murderer to search for that bullet?
Well, I'm gonna assume that he didn't fucking need it then.
Well...
But I mean, I don't...
I'm gonna... after I said he needed it, I picked, because it could be proof, but it could have been that he was being cautious.
Could
well, why don't you give us a fucking hint, Matt?
Because I literally can't give a hint for something that is just 2 distinct choices.
You know, you can give us.
Alright, I'm not reading all this again.
He's got health to spare, so...
I do have a little bit of health to spare.
Dangerous.
Well, the murderer was a very cautious sort, you see. That's why the murderer had to search for that bullet. If that was the case, then...
now it's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing. It's gonna penalize you again.
Yep, it sure is. Sure is.
Thanks, Matt.
Well, I knew you were right.
You knew that we were gonna do that twice, so you didn't say anything?
No, I did not know he was gonna pick it twice. He chose that option to pursue the other route.
Well, I would have just chosen the...
I said I knew that you were right, because you're always right.
Why would the murderer spend the time to look for that stray bullet? I haven't got a clue. What's wrong, Mr. Wright? The murderer had no reason to take that bullet. You don't want to admit it, but it's true!
Had to take it.
I had to take it. The murderer. What does that mean?
You're thinking too normal. Think crazy. Don't think why the bullet was taken. Think why the bullet had to be taken.
Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. I have no idea what I'm doing. Well, the murderer had no intention of taking the bullet from the scene, but, the murderer had to take the bullet. Had to, Mr. Wright? What do you mean? Well, for instance...
No.
For instance, maybe the bullet, hit the murderer. The bullet hit the murderer? Just saying, for instance. I mean, if it hit you, you would have to take it with you, wouldn't you? It's not like you could perform surgery right there. You know? I want to explain his vacation. Wait a second. I was just talking off the top of my head, but what if that's really what happened? Let me get this straight. So at the time of the murderer themselves was shot, and they left with the second bullet still inside of them, thus leaving only one bullet at the scene of the crime. Yes, I guess that's how it would work, yes. But there's a problem with that. The other two people rescued from that elevator, Miles Edgeworth and Yanni Yogi, were both unharmed. So that would mean the murderer came from outside. Yes. Two men fight inside the elevator. Trying to stop them, the boy picks up the pistol at his feet and throws it. The pistol discharges and the bullet goes through the elevator door and hits the murderer outside. The boy loses his consciousness. Then the murderer opens the elevator door and sees the men inside. Mr. Wright, you are truly the most unpredictable defense attorney I've ever known. I can tell you're grasping, yet I cannot deny the possibility of what you say.